Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is finals time here for the UMG 4v4 Search and Destroy. Here, of course, on December 5th, we've got SimpyShrimpy going up against SKRD. Of course, teams that we've been able to witness already so far in this tournament. We got to witness SimpyShrimpy just facing off against the side of Rare, beating Tarzan's team, of course, 2-1. And in the first series of the night, we actually got to watch SKRD take out Excalibur 2-1 as well. So both these teams familiar when it comes down to that third map. Could we be witnessing that yet again when it comes down to our final? Of course, that will be the question to be asking when it comes into Sainte Marie du Mont. But 3 players already eliminated for, of course, the side on SKRD as a dominant push there, heading in toward Radio Tower. For the side of SimpyShrimpy, Zaptius literally just kind of has to wait here prone, and we'll finish off this kill. We're kind of getting back toward how both of these teams got here. We, of course, just got to witness SimpyShrimpy finishing off in their semifinal, where, of course, like I said, they won that one. But SKRD actually just finished taking down Rocket Esports, of course, Nelson Twiz, Dimmy, and co., and ended up taking them out. So pretty surprising result to see the side of SKRD getting this far, but facing off against Simp and co. when it comes down to this group is not going to be any easy task, as Simp missing a few sniper bullets there through mid-street, as Riviction and JKrillex responding with a few inside of bottom ship, or not bottom ship, excuse me. I was thinking about USS Texas for a second there. I apologize for that, but through middle inside of restaurant. But now looking on, 1 versus 4 for Simp, and of course after missing those first few snipes, maybe dwelling back, thinking about how to execute this one. This one is most likely a waving of the white flag, but somehow finds that one onto DeoX and just makes him pay the immediate reaction, along with the potential nade that could go onto Riviction. However, not found and tagged to the side. I don't believe Simp knew exactly where those bullets were coming from. As you can see, all these guys being very passive to try and challenge this man, not immediately going for it, because, of course, being in a 3 versus 1 scenario like that, normally guys kind of want to pile on, want to kind of find the final player. But they're kind of hiding their own corridor, knowing exactly what this man Simp can do. I mean, that was just an insane snipe. The reaction for that is unparalleled. Fantastic reaction there from Simp, despite, of course, not closing out that 1 versus 3 in total, as it will be the first round on the board there toward the side of SKRD. Now looking on. We're going to be looking on here with Cellium, FG42. And a continuous attack toward this B site as Simp finds 2, Zaptius finds the 3rd. An immediate situation where DeoX is wondering what just happened to all my teammates. Thankfully, we'll find a fading nade kill there on Cellium, but regardless, off the start, 3 kills found. And if you're in SKRD's position for now, you're thinking when it comes down to that B site, as DeoX just melts Onyx there, we've got to be more wary of that position that could be made when it comes down to that site. Fantastic shot there, but one that does not equal out into a round, as Simp, yet again, here for the pickup. This one, like I said, onto DeoX. But still, man, when it comes into future offensive rounds, I mean, I feel like it's almost set in stone at this point that we're going to see SimpyShrimpy make their way toward that radio tower bomb site over and over and over again until SKRD can start to make somewhat of an impact on that side. But now reversing things. SKRD now going to be on the offense. What can they do? They obviously made a push toward the opposite side. What can they do now? As lingering through mid-street, JKrillex being aware as the assist actually comes in. Sainte does assist his teammate. I didn't actually see that Sainte was in that top building. So very smart play. The stun leading into the snipe. However, Onyx doing some damage when it comes down to just outside of restaurant. As it looks like Cellium does take out Sainte. And where was Cellium, actually? So Cellium just happens to maybe pick off Sainte, who has jumped out of that kind of top building position. As DeoX, yet again, left in a 1 versus 3. This time a lot more of a contested round, it's fair to say. Does pick off 2, of course. I believe it's 1, just kind of hanging out through that window. That was Cellium, trying to go for the engage. But what can DeoX do? Can he get the good timing here onto Onyx? But no, Onyx is going to be here for the pickup. Nice and easy finish, as back-to-back rounds are secured for the boys on SimpyShrimpy. And now heading into this next offensive round, I really don't know what you do if you're the opposite on SKRD, because now looking at this, you're on defense. we obviously died by a number of different pre-nades. We either don't engage in those positions or play a lot more passively, and passive is not what you want to play when it comes down to that B site. You have to get in there quick, you have to get in there fast, or otherwise you're going to see a dominant site kind of taken over and a very difficult retake that you're going to have be made. So with that, we'll actually take a look at where the nades are being placed. No kills going down as of yet. Being wary is SKRD off the break. And nade that could definitely do some damage here from JKrillex, just a little bit too... a little bit more of a strong arm rather there. Just a little bit too hard of a toss. As DeoX just sitting on the opposite end here inside of Restaurant. Kills going down potentially soon. Onyx goes for the challenge, but DeoX is there and holding that position and will escape out with his life, at least for the time being. So big pick there onto Onyx. And I was talking about what could SKRD do in the situation. Well, they play it themselves passively. They kind of throw out their nades themselves, and it's the side of SimpyShrimpy who plays passively in the end. Doesn't go for the immediate plant onto B, despite Simp and Zaptius making it seem as if that's the case. Still contesting this one, but without the bomb. Cellium will quickly join back up with the group. So here comes the challenge. Decent effort there coming in from Simp, but no kills will be awarded as the final two will line up, and SKRD will win that defensive round. That's a big one to find. As we'll see JKrillex finding the last three. Yes, all three here for Krillex. As him and the team will hold down this B site despite what we saw just a few short rounds ago. Much different play, but very solid one coming in there from this man. As you got to keep in mind streaks. Could they be coming into play for either team? As Krillex definitely the closest out of anyone after that last round. Tossing out a pre-stun. As I believe player number 4 will be here. Zaptius just on the outside. Trying to look for that side peek. Not going to spot anyone, at least for the time being. And just as I say that, Riviction decides to take a side step just behind that truck. And bomb not yet planted. Of course, that one's going to be in the hand of Riviction. Onyx falls for the first blood. And now a 3 versus 4 retake on this bomb. Zaptius in this position can't afford to die. But a fantastic turn there onto Sainte. What a reaction coming out of Zaptius. Simp up close fight. Takes one down on DeoX. And now a 2 versus 2. JKrillex drops from the flank, and Riviction does as well. So a successful 3 versus 4 retake. And a plant that should have gone down for SKRD. You're thinking in that situation, they have full site control. And Riviction kind of just waits. They kind of just wait for the enemy to engage on them, which, of course, happens. But still, fantastic turn that we end up seeing from the side of SimpyShrimpy to kind of even things out. And they just kind of collapsed. It's like they took control over that site. They're like, yeah, now what do we do? Maybe it was just the position that just wasn't known for enemy players. They didn't know if a flank could be coming in at any moment. They didn't have restaurant control. Not exactly sure what it was, but they had it. They had the round in their hands. They just kind of let it slip from them. And SimpyShrimpy will take every round they decide to give away. It's near Christmas time. They love presents. Simp misses a snipe. Not something that you see very often, but 2 following just prior to that. As Krillex waiting on the opposite end there, of course, just through that archway. Could turn this into a flank, but Simp being aware that that player is still back here. He doesn't spawn him just toward his left. Now does. Go ahead and goes for the re-engagement. Tries to go for the snipe. Misses that one, and now Krillex last alive position is known. Simp has called him out, and bomb has been planted. If you're in Krillex's position, you're just trying to at least take a few players off of these streaks. You'll be trying to make a miraculous play happen. But unfortunately for him, not going to go his way. And now 5 rounds to 2. A big advantage toward the side of SimpyShrimpy, as you'd like to imagine they would not let this one slip away. As they're just playing lights out here on Sainte Marie. As an overall pretty consistent play when you kind of look down the scoreboard. 5 kills for Cellium, Simp, and Zaptius, and only kind of outliers Onyx with 6. And on the opposite end, you got Sainte and Riviction, both kind of not playing the best. Of course, combined for 4 and 10, -6. Those are definitely where the kills are kind of being made more of an impact. As Sainte being very wary, getting this bomb down here on B. Of course, rotates through Restaurant, which is not exactly the typical pathway that we see for the bomb planter, but along with a first blood found there from DeoX, one that's responded from Simp. We'll set them up for a play. As you also see that gas grenade get thrown out. Not sure what side that would be from. Most likely you'd like to expect it to be from the boys on SimpyShrimpy, but up close engagement. Simp wins that one with the machine pistol. JKrillex coming from the window could spoil the party. Could spoil this round number 8. Tries to find one, able to make it happen. Thankfully finds a headshot and finds 2. Now it's a 1 versus 1. JKrillex trying to go for all 3. Can he find it is the question, but actually goes for the melee, and Zaptius will find that one. Says thank you very much. As a 6th round will be found. Only 8 rounds of play in a map 1 of 3. Going toward the side of SimpyShrimpy as they dominate Sainte Marie du Mont. And that's just an interesting fight there at the end that we end up seeing coming in from JKrillex, because of course he finds the 2 on the flank, did a fantastic job at finding those. But an accidentally like a melee there, not exactly sure what the cause was for that. Not 100% sure what happened there, if it was like an accidental thing or if he just happened to do that to try and get out of cover or what really was the case. I know there's a lot of people kind of scheming on Reddit saying if you melee along with like sprinting and diving forward, it makes you go a little bit quicker. Not sure if that was kind of an immediate reaction for him to try and be made, but regardless, like I said, it is overall dominance that we end up being shown there in map number 1, coming in from the side of SimpyShrimpy. Not really much more to say than that. With Simp finishing off 7-5, Zaptius 7-4, along with the plant and defuse gets exactly 1,000 score, but not much more that you can do. Not much more you can kind of credit to the side of SimpyShrimpy after just having an overall dominant performance like that, especially in our final versus a team who obviously has taken down Excalibur. They've taken down Rocket Esports. Saintt's team, of course, SKRD, they're a very talented squad, and nothing that you can always take away from them. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for potentially the final time. Of course, speaking of finals, we're currently in ours, the grand finals of the UMG 4v4 Search and Destroy for December 5th. Like I said, we've got SimpyShrimpy going up against the side of SKRD. And map number 1 was a pretty dominant victory that we saw from the boys on SimpyShrimpy, winning that one at 6 rounds to 2 on Sainte Marie du Mont. However, London Docks plays a lot different. Both sites can be usable, unlike Sainte Marie du Mont, where you most likely see a lot of attention focused toward one side over the other. So, obviously looking now on 3 versus 3. And Simp doing some damage with that sniper rifle, of course. Him and Cellium, current players for the EU Cadets. For those who haven't kind of seen the Twitter rave about this group, of course, kind of being taken on as a academy team, along with a screening partner when it comes down to the regular E United roster, of course, being E United, Zone, Silly, Clayster, Prestini, Arcides, that group, along with, like I said, Simp, Cellium, Turnup, and Illy. So a pretty interesting group. This team known as the EU Cadets now. Previously Season XO or XO Season, not exactly sure. But it's kind of all talking about that, just to kind of bring up the fact that we do see Simp kind of playing that role that Turnup usually plays whenever this group does play with one another. And I'm not sure if that's really kind of hindering his team's overall performance, because, of course, they're here in the finals. They're here for a reason. But used to kind of seeing him have that SMG up close, not really kind of playing over on that A site primarily. Usually going to see him kind of holding down that B site by himself, kind of playing a little bit more kind of up close in your face. But still, they're here for a reason. Like I said, they're playing pretty well, and they do miss the cross on the JKrillex, who does enter into that A site. So with that knowledge earned, as Saint finds one on the Zaptius, it kind of leaves an awkward scenario because, of course, since JKrillex is able to make it inside of 10, now have to be wary that he's always going to be here. And just an overall collapse. The Simp does find one, a headshot. 1 versus 3, and DeoX might have just spotted him exiting out of barrel building. But pre-nade tossed. We'll see if that lands. No hit markers, no kills found, and bomb sitting just inside of that corner street. As a machine pistol spots one inside a fire. I believe Riviction also gains that information, along with the snipe. The boys on SKRD have to be wary. But most likely a waving of the white flag as they're all going to play fairly passively. You'd like to imagine JKrillex yet again escapes his life. And playing well is JKrillex, of course, playing the passive role. The one that is not normally talked about. is I love this. I just love how, like, granted, they go in for the last second engagement there, but all of them are just sitting and not moving, which is a very smart play because a lot of the time that's where you'll see teams kind of struggle and search and destroy, or not necessarily like lesser-known teams, but even pro teams today, kind of top amateur teams. They're known for kind of making mistakes in high-pressure situations because you're kind of giving away one of those 3 players who could have been on a streak or is on a streak. And, kind of players who kind of want to go for that final kill, want to kind of grab that one kind of toward their stats, and not at all for the sort of SKRD, playing passive and very smart play at that. As I believe we actually got to witness both of these teams playing DeoX in their prior series, and both of them wins. I believe SKRD ended up winning this exact map versus the side of Excalibur, 6 rounds to 2, where they were known for kind of pushing over on this B side and playing very aggressive. Once they get that bomb down on B, which is their primary target, you'll immediately rush over to the enemy spawn off the break and just kind of gain control. But it seems that that B site hit is not working out for them in this round. And speaking of it, SimpyShrimpy definitely getting some much-needed, I don't want to say momentum, but just kind of a fresh start when it comes down to this map. Because, of course, those 2 rounds kind of set the tone. That overall momentum gain from map number 1 of Sainte isn't really there anymore. So things are kind of fresh. They're kind of at a snail pace, kind of at a set-in-stone overall pace. And now looking on. Heading into this 4th round, it will be the boys on Simpy. He'll be on the offense. And I was curious to see, do they make that push toward A? And I think the reason why we don't see them make that push toward A is that they're just always going to be wary from now on that JKrillex is going to be in there with potentially whatever weapon of choice he has, whether it's the STG-44 or that PPSH that, of course, he continues to rock with. Currently sitting at 4-1, DeoX at 3-1. As he's the aggressor when it comes down to this group. On the opposite end, though, Zaptius, Onyx, and Simp. 3v4. Onyx does spot one toward that back line side. It does get picked off coming in through cut. And Zaptius aware of such. Simp as well. And he is literally playing the turn-up role. STG-44. I've actually been able to witness it be used quite a bit as of recent. And I'm not sure if it's necessarily a just overall weapon choice, if people don't really like the FG-40, or that the FG-44 I'm saying. The FG, or what it really is the case, but maybe just a weapon change for kind of sub-players who want to move around a little bit faster and the bar just isn't doing it for them anymore. Or really what's the case, but the STG definitely being rocked quite a bit. And Simp, of course, doing such as he does get taken out there in that final engagement, as it is 3-1. And it looks like we are going to be seeing this group face off on offense. And it looks like a smoke tossed over toward A. Is it a bait is the thing. And based off of the early pick, that could debate or change the strategy, as it looks like Onyx picking off one with a headshot. Players beginning to fall, as it is an immediate 2 versus 4. So in back-to-back pushes, B or A, SimpyShrimpy has been there for the response time after time, and now JKrillex, only positive for him is that he has the bomb in hand. And a 1 versus 3 for him, and at this point, it's either do you go for the 1 versus 3 clutch? Of course, being at that midpoint for streaks, I mean, really anything is kind of qualified if he wants to do something, but does he kind of play the passive role? Does he kind of sit here in the back lines in the flank and maybe wait for someone to kind of come toward him, which isn't a bad strat whatsoever, but Cellium, Zaptius, and Onyx not moving. Maybe being aware of the fact that he could be on a streak. That's why they're playing so slow. And tries to get one onto Onyx, but Onyx quickly to back up, and you see all their focus toward barrel building. Position is known. And while JKrillex does find one, a nade is there to greet him, as 1 kill is all he will find. So no streaks to be worried about when it comes down to JKrillex any longer, as he will fall in a 2nd round gain for SimpyShrimpy, as that was a desperate round that they have to win, I feel like, in that scenario. Of course, 3-2, much different from 4-1. And I was actually talking about this with Burns in the 2nd annual Memorial Tournament. Of course, speaking of such, Cellium and Simp, both victors of that tournament. The EU Cadets in total winning that one, but before they were known as the EU Cadets. But we were kind of talking about this, kind of ever important coming into round number 6, either being at a 4-1 or at a 3-2 is just so much different. Of course, with only 6 rounds needed to win, just a lot of momentum and a whole just overall a massive change in overall the pace of the game. Because players are always aware of that score. I mean, keep it in mind. Even when you play public matches, even when you play pubs, search and destroy, of course, always being aware of getting toward that last round. And the implications of it are big. And so looking on now, Cellium, with that bomb in hand, a very passive play to try and be made toward this B side. Looks like Simp does get shut down there from JKrillex yet again. 8-2, quadruple positive. As he can now make it 8, or I was going to say, he can make it 9-2, but now 8-3. Onyx has something to say about it. Walks into barrel building and just wipes him off the map. As they've only got 20 seconds left, but they have to get this bomb down. But each player has to be watching their position. One through front street and one inside a statue. And they will hold their positions correctly. However, Zaptius shuts down one on to DeoX. And how does the retake get made here from Saint and Riviction? Well, Saint drops. And a Riviction, the last person alive. And if you're in SKRD's position, you're wondering, how did this just happen? We literally had perfect control. We found the first blood onto Simp. But they allowed to get the bomb down here on B. And each position is watched very, very well. And that's exactly what happens there. As we're going to see this one now even at 3-3. Back-to-back rounds gifted towards SimpyShrimpy. And like I said, in that last round, what we see is that they are able to get the bomb down, and the other 2 players are positioned in just a fantastic way. One sitting through middle, a.k.a. inside a barrel building, kind of watching through statue, anyone that could be coming through mid-cut. And then the player who was obviously sitting just in front of that bomb, watching over toward that red bus. They watch both positions, they kind of hold them well, and they allow the planter to obviously get the bomb down. They win the gunfights, and everything's good for them. Now, finding a first pick here would be big. The smoke goes out a little bit too late, and Riviction nearly paid for it. But Onyx getting aggressive with that FG. And so in a very big spot at the moment, if Simp does get picked off, or at least is able to find a position, you're going to see Onyx immediately hop from out of that corner. And Simple also being here can kind of provide Onyx with a kind of an all-clear moment where Onyx needs, if he needs to, kind of back up. So good positioning, but bomb could be going down here very shortly. And Riviction is going to do such. As JKrillex yet to spot anyone. So, of course, getting the indicator. Kills start to take place. Onyx finding 1, finding 2. On a 4 spree right now is this man. Trying to gain some information, but looks like 2 more in front of him. Is able to drop 1, and now DeoX, the last person up. 1 versus 2. Shuts down 1. Foots down 2 as well. DeoX making some interesting plays happen, and now Zaptius versus DeoX, 1-on-1, and Zaptius still has to find the defuse. Can he find the kill is the question. Has to go for the challenge. Spots him going through bottom. And a beautiful crossover actually comes in here from DeoX, as he'll be able to most likely escape with the round. Yes, it will work out. Zaptius will drop, and DeoX successfully wins the 1 versus 1. As you know, in DeoX's position, he's thinking Zaptius is going to watch me jump toward bottom. And it's just a matter of a 50-50 choice whether or not he tries to cut me off or he follows in my position. Just a very well-executed round as DeoX and the boys from SKRD will finally get a round back on the board as they are in the lead 4-3. Keeping in mind that if they do lose this particular map, they are done. Their tournament run ends and they finish off here in second. These are best of 3s, and map 1 has already taken place. SimpyShrimpy won Sainte Marie Dumont 6-2. And so now in SimpyShrimpy's point of view, at least looking at this map number 2, you have to be very, very passive. You have to win this round most likely. Or it is incredibly unlikely that you can walk away with anything else. As JKrillex holding a very, very nice line side here. Pick off 1. Granted, Simp is there for the trade, but he's also going to pick up the FG off the ground. And do they have anyone watching through mid-cut? No, they do not. Onyx is a little bit late. We'll shut down Saint, though. So they get great timing there onto that kill. And the question being, do they rotate over toward A? It looks like player number 7, Onyx, is either clearing out A or is trying to at least gain some position from behind, as it looks like it will be a round that will go the way of SimpyShrimpy, and one that they have to find especially being in the situation that they are in. Because, of course, if they lose this round, they have to win 3 straight to secure a map 2. However, now after 8, we're even at 4 apiece. And just as we start to think that, hey, maybe SKRD is getting some momentum, the side of SimpyShrimpy is there to respond. Is Onyx there and your bronze star, aka your final kill cam when it comes into search and destroy, will be there for the pickup. And speaking of outliers, Onyx right now 10-5. On the opposite end, you got JKrillex playing incredibly strong, 9-5. Is now looking here toward offense. An immediate rush off the start, and it looks like that was Simp who made that early aggression happen, but does not equal out to a man count in his favor. But it looks like Onyx might have spotted one on the flank. That's going to be JKrillex. And honestly, if he uses good trigger discipline here, he could escape with 2. Spots one inside of there. Just in one on JKrillex, and in finding that, that's now going to put DeoX and Riviction in a pretty awkward scenario, because now they have to be wary of their front and their back. However, Riviction does spot one at the same time. Cellium, before dying, took out DeoX. So now we find ourselves in a 1 versus 1. Who can get the round advantage? Onyx up close. Can he find the winner? Riviction, and yes, it's found. Huge pick there for Onyx, as he will continue. Pulls out the machine pistol, totally catching Riviction off guard, as maybe just a bullet difference is how that round will take place and how that one will come about, as SimpyShrimpy is now on not just map point, not just series point, but tournament point. And can they close this one out here? Or will we see an overtime be forced? Early nades tossed down. No information gained. As a first blood is found, but quickly responded there, coming in from Brian Saintt himself. Tries to go for the jump up there onto boxes, but he's going to have a teammate to watch cut for him. And the major player to be watching out for, which was Onyx. 13-6, by the way, has dropped, like I said, for that first blood. So, or for that second blood, excuse me, that was responded by Saint, though. So looking on, big gunfight needs to be found there. Zaptius able to drop Saint. 2 versus 3, Riviction and DeoX. The tournament. Their lives revolve and are on the backs of them. What can they do? And all 3 players are grouped up, being Cellium, Zaptius, and Simp. And it looks like Riviction can gain some information. If he can maybe pick off one, that would be big, but his position is known. Can he escape? But no, he drops. And now DeoX, left in a 1 versus 3, shuts down one to Cellium. And, of course, being very wary of his overall position, isn't able to stay up. He'll drop through mid-statue. Zaptius will find DeoX and will secure tonight's tournament for the side of SimpyShrimpy, as they win this one 6 rounds to 4. And winning the entire series in total at a 2-0, which, of course, like I said, gives them tonight's tournament and the title of UMG 4v4 Search and Destroy Champs for December 5th. Of course, congratulations to Simp, Cellium, Zaptius, and Onyx for winning this one. As early on, we got to hop into their matchup versus a team known as Rare in their semifinal. They were looking kind of slow. I believe that one was actually on Arden Forest. And I was thinking, well, maybe this group, when it comes down to not having Turnip, to not having Illy, of course, the other 2 EU cadets on this roster, excuse me, not really sure how they're going to do. Like I said, Arden Forest didn't really play out well for them. Their very first match that we got to hop on board with them, but they started to kind of grind things back. They started to win a few rounds. We started to see Simp start to really turn up, no pun intended there, when it came down to a lot of their matches, which really gave them a lot of momentum. When it came down to their semifinal match, when it came down to map 1, I mean, just a number of different awesome plays from a lot of the guys here on SimpyShrimpy. Of course, had to give a massive shout out and a big GGs to the guys on SKRD. Saint, JKrillex, Riviction, and DeoX played incredibly strong, and a massive credit to JKrillex especially. I think in every single match that we got to watch for him tonight, he was always a guy who was dropping numbers, playing incredibly strong, playing incredibly sound, and definitely did a lot of work with that SMG when it came down to Sainte Marie du Mont. Of course, forced that 10th round for the boys on SimpyShrimpy. Granted, on Sainte Marie du Mont for map 2, only saw 2 rounds of play go their way as far as things are considered, but still, Overall, massive credit to JKrillex especially, and like I said, GG's to both sides. But like I said, congratulations to SimpyShrimpy for winning this one, as the team name did get me a few times tonight. But of course, happy for them to maybe go back to EU Cadets. I beg you, I really prefer not to say SimpyShrimpy anymore unless I absolutely have to.
Through this night with